Hello, everybody. So I've got this a bit of a weird setup here, but just so that you can see what I'm doing, we're going to show some different ways to dress your ritual candle. So I started with the very simplest, and I took this little ordinary paraffin tea light, and I used my blow dryer, my hair dryer, right over top of it to heat the wax a little bit, and then I pressed a little bit of my flowers into the top. So that's the very simplest way to do this. Now we're going to move on to the second simplest. I love beeswax, so I have a beeswax candle here. And I've got just a touch of olive oil, just as a carrier oil, and a little bit of blood orange oil. And we'll talk a little bit about the significance of oranges being representative of the returning sun. Sorry, I should be holding this here. So what I'm doing while I'm talking here is I'm rubbing this blood orange and olive oil mixture onto my candle, and then I'm going to roll my candle in the flowers that I have here. And this is the very simplest way without getting too messy with melting wax, etc. And before I do that, I should just talk about what I have here. I have crushed up some flowers. I've got peony flowers right here that I saved, and peony is about prosperity and abundance and good luck. I've got some rose that I've crushed up, and it smells actually really beautiful. And rose is really about healing and the heart work, beauty and protection. And then I've got delphinium. I had some beautiful delphiniums this summer, which I saved the petals and crushed them up. And delphinium is about positivity, clarity, and finding joy in your purpose. And then lastly, and this is a bit of an experiment, I've got cinnamon that was kind of chunky, and I crushed it a bit, but it's still quite chunky. And cinnamon is about prosperity, protection, and bringing in that sweetness of life. And then I'm going to try, I have a little bit of adventurine crystals that are quite small here. We'll see if they work. And they're about prosperity and emotional healing, but particularly it is the stone of opportunity. And so that's why I wanted to bring, even if I just press one of them into my intention candle. And I'll do that when I do the wax. I don't think I can do it with the oil. It definitely won't work with the oil. And neither will the cinnamon, being a little bit flaky. But my flower petals, the energy and the focus of my flower petals will work. So I am going to actually mix these together because I want a mix of all of these things on my intention candle. And I've oiled my candle, and I'm just going to roll it in here, and I'm going to kind of do it like a rolling pin. And so that seems to be working quite nicely. I'm just going to shake off a little bit of the excess. And so there you have a dressed candle, really simple with just oil. Okay. And now the next one we're going to do using beeswax to dress another beeswax candle. And then I'm going to experiment with the pillar candle. So my beeswax is just melting, and we're going to be stepping off to that one next. But I want to show you some that I did the other day. These are dress candles that I did with beeswax. You can see I've kind of created that look of it's kind of drippy. And I really love how they look. I haven't burnt them yet to see how they smell, but I'm really excited to do so when we start our 12 days of Yule. Okay, we are back with some melted wax, melted beeswax, and you can use remnants of old candles that you might have, or get some beeswax from a friend who has bees, and you can buy it, of course, as well. So I'm just going to double check that I got everything I want here. And let's go for it, see what happens. So I'm going to just tilt my metal container here a little bit. I don't want to keep it in there too long because we don't want to soften the wax of the candle itself. We just want to add a little bit of a layer onto there. And so, wow, I can really smell the rose petals. It smells beautiful. So just like I did with the oil, I'm rolling it in, and I'm going to, actually I want to add a little bit of that cinnamon at the bottom. So I just did a little dip, and I rolled into the cinnamon at the bottom. Hopefully you can see that. And it actually is working quite well. I wasn't sure because it's so chunky whether or not it would stick well, but it seems like it is. Okay, I'm going to let that dry just a smidge. And I'm going to do another dip to cover this. So let's just compare as we go step by step. Oiled candle, wax candle, where are we? There. Hopefully you can see that a little bit better. And again, we'll go step by step here. I'm going to do a double dip. So I'm going to go ahead and dunk it and roll it again. And really get lots of that energy of those flowers in there. Beautiful, I love it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip just the top and try to create, that's where I'm going to stick my aventurine crystal, and I'm going to try to create an effect like the candle is dripping too. So, and it's going to help hold everything in. So we're going to dip, and then I'm going to try and let it run down, and I'm going to try and stick, whoops, one of these aventurines right into my candle. And I'm going to dip it again. So I know it's in there. You may not see it when I'm finished. I'm going to do another dip, find my wick so it doesn't get lost. And let that drip down. I'm trying to not ruin all of my flowers, but you can see it's kind of creating that drippy effect on there. This is going to harden and change a little bit in its color as it dries and hardens a little bit. But my aventurine seems to be sticking in there quite nicely, which I'm liking. Okay, we're going to try one more way while this is setting up. Where can I set it so that you can see it as it dries? Now I have not done the pillar candle. Will it even fit in there? Yes, it will. And what I'm going to do with my pillar candle is I'm just going to dip the top portion and quickly turn it upright and sprinkle so that hopefully we get some of that dripping action with the sprinkle of flowers on top. So let's see what happens. Cross your fingers. We make a mess as we dip. And now we're going to sprinkle. And see what happens. I'm going to knock off the excess here after we've got it all sprinkled in and see if we can get any to stick on the side. Well, that did not stick at all. Let's try this. We will figure this out together. We will make this work with the pillar candle. Where's my wick gone? There it is. We don't want to lose that. So we've got just a light kind of dusting. I've made a big mess because I dunked a little too hard. Thank goodness. Make sure you use some kind of paper. I've got some kind of foily Christmas paper. So that it doesn't get on my table. I'm going to try that one more time and not dip quite so deep. And I'm going to actually press it in and roll it a little bit and see if that works better. Find my wick before it gets squashed in there too tight. See if I can just use my fingers to kind of get that in there, brush off some of the excess, and there we go. There's our pillar intention candle, which I'm kind of liking how that's looking too. So we did a little bit of playing. I'll show you all of them and see what you think. I'm going to move this over if I can. So we've got our dressed pillar candle. Turn it this way. There we go. We've got our oiled beeswax candle. We've got our dipped beeswax candle. I'll lay these side by side so you can see them. Maybe like this. And then we've got our little ordinary tea light that we just used a blow dryer to melt just enough. It won't adhere. My blow dryer doesn't get heat enough. I do have a heat gun, but I know everybody doesn't have one, so I didn't want to cheat and use my heat gun. But you can get a little bit of sprinkles of the energy of some flowers just by doing that. So hopefully that was helpful. And we'll see you in the next video.